King Charles and Queen Camilla were caught in what might be the most emotionally charged royal moment of the year. A solemn ceremony, a touching tribute to the late Queen Elizabeth, and then, Camilla has what experts are calling a royal blunder that has everyone talking. But here's the kicker. Charles's reaction to his mother's memorial was so raw, so genuine, that even the stoniest royal watchers were reaching for tissues. We're talking about Edinburgh's High Kirk, the mother church of Presbyterianism, where Scottish royalty has been making history for centuries. But here's what makes this particular ceremony absolutely gut-wrenching. This is the exact spot where Queen Elizabeth II's coffin lay at rest before being transported to London. Welcome back to Royal Cookies, where we serve up the juiciest royal gossip with a side of heart-wrenching humanity. I'm your host, and today we're diving into Cressida Bonos's latest bombshell. And trust me, you're going to need tissues for this one. I'm your host at Royal Cookies, where we serve up the hottest royal tea before it even cools down. And today we're diving deep into a story that's part heartbreak, part human comedy, and 100% authentic royal emotion. Buckle up, because this one's going to take you on a roller coaster. Let that sink in for a moment. Charles and Camilla weren't just attending some random memorial service. They were standing in the exact place where Charles said his final goodbye to his mother before the world watched her funeral procession through London. The memorial stone itself is beautifully simple. Black slate, square, embedded right into the cathedral floor with Scottish engravings. No fancy diamonds, no golden flourishes, just pure, understated elegance that somehow screams Elizabeth more than any elaborate monument ever could. But here's where it gets interesting and slightly chaotic. Because while this was meant to be a private, intimate ceremony, the royal machinery was in full swing. We're talking about a perfectly choreographed tribute that was supposed to go off without a hitch. Because when you mix genuine human emotion with royal protocol, add a dash of Scottish tradition, and throw in Camilla's, let's call it unique approach to ceremonial etiquette, you get a story that's more entertaining than any royal soap opera Netflix could dream up. And Charles? Oh honey, Charles was feeling all the feelings. The king appeared genuinely emotional as he witnessed this new memorial to his mother. And when I say emotional, I mean we're talking about visible, undeniable, can't he hide it behind royal stoicism levels of emotion. Think about it. This is a man who spent his entire life being told to keep his emotions in check, to never let them see you sweat, to always maintain that stiff upper lip. But standing there, looking at a stone that represents his mother's legacy, his grief, his love, his loss, well, sometimes being human wins over being royal. Charles and Camilla stood side by side in a moment of silence following the prayer, heads bowed in tribute to the Queen. Sounds simple, right? Picture-perfect royal behavior, everything going according to plan. But here's where things get interesting, and this is where we need to talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say, the Queen Consort in the cathedral. Now, I need to be careful here because the reports are calling it a royal blunder. But honestly, after watching decades of royal ceremonies, I'm starting to think Camilla's just operating on a completely different wavelength than everyone else. And you know what? Sometimes that's exactly what we need. Picture this. You're in one of Scotland's most sacred spaces. You're honoring the memory of arguably the most beloved monarch in British history. The atmosphere is thick with emotion and reverence. And then, something happens that's so perfectly human it almost breaks the spell. The reports are being diplomatically vague about what exactly constituted this blunder. But reading between the lines, it seems like Camilla had a moment where protocol took a backseat to, well, being a normal person in an abnormal situation. And honestly, good for her. Because while everyone else was focused on hitting their marks and following the script, Camilla was probably thinking about her stepmother-in-law, about loss, about the weight of being in that exact spot where Elizabeth's journey home began. Dr. Rennie noted the symbolic importance of St. Giles Cathedral, a space deeply woven into Scottish history. This isn't just any church. This is where Scottish royalty has been celebrated, mourned, and remembered for centuries. And Charles? He's standing there, probably fighting back tears, trying to maintain his composure while simultaneously feeling the full weight of his mother's absence. Because let's be real, no amount of royal training prepares you for standing in the place where you last saw your mother's coffin. Right. This is where I need you to put down your phones and really listen. Because what happened next is the kind of raw human moment that reminds us why we're all so fascinated by the royals in the first place. Charles broke. Not publicly, not dramatically, but in that quiet, dignified way that somehow hits you harder than any theatrical breakdown ever could. The king appeared genuinely moved by this memorial to Queen Elizabeth II. And when I say moved, I mean you could see it in his face, in his posture, in the way he carried himself. Think about what this man has been through in the past 3 years. He watched his mother die, became king almost overnight, navigated family scandals, dealt with his own health issues, and through it all, he's had to maintain this image of strength and stability. But standing there, looking at a simple black stone that represents his mother's final journey through Scotland, something shifted. The king became the son. The monarch became the man who lost his mum. And you know what? That's beautiful. That's real. That's exactly what Elizabeth would have wanted. For her son to honor her memory not just as a king, but as a human being who loved her. The symbolism here is absolutely staggering. This square stone made of simple black slate is embedded right in the floor where Queen Elizabeth II lay at rest before being taken to London. Every time someone walks into that cathedral, they're literally walking past her memory. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know if you're Team Sophie or if you think I'm seeing green where there's just good fashion sense. If you're obsessed with royal strategy and environmental impact like I am, make sure you're subscribed to Royal Cookies because we're serving up the most sustainable royal content on YouTube. And remember, in a world full of fast fashion and royal scandals, sometimes the most revolutionary thing you can do is wear your values on your sleeve, preferably in a gorgeous shade of green. Sophie's proving that environmental activism isn't just about what you do, it's about who you become. Until next time, keep munching on those eco-friendly royal cookies.